Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to the DNN show, where I am your co-host, D-Neg, and Retrofrect could not make it today. But that is totally fine. But we are going to be talking about the Eastern Conference Finals, the Western Conference Finals, and the King of the Ring. Tune in after this. Alrighty. First off, we are going to be talking about King and Queen of the Ring. The pay-per-view in Saudi Arabia, I believe. Quote me if I'm wrong. But it is, I have the full match card, and I'm going to be making my predictions up until the King of the Ring and Queen of the Ring, because the final opponent on the other side of the match on SmackDown has not been determined yet. That will be determined on Friday. But we are going to make our predictions for the WWE Championship, the Women's World Championship, and the IC title. First off, we have the WWE Championship, Cody Rhodes versus Logan Paul. A lot of people believed that it was going to be a title versus title, where there was a possibility that Cody Rhodes was going to become US champ and undisputed champ, which that is not the case. Logan Paul came out and surprised when during the contract signing that is not the terms he agreed to, and he brought his own contract, and it was only for the undisputed championship, which protects that fact, because a lot of people hated on the WWE for doing that, or for that possibility, which is not going to be the case. It is only for the undisputed championship, and I believe Cody Rhodes is going to win it. I do not believe that Logan Paul will win, because of the fact that it is too soon in Cody Rhodes' run to just take the title off of him. Oh, sorry. But I believe it's way too early in Cody Rhodes' run to take it off of him, and which is totally fine by me. I mean, I can see where people are getting angry, but you have to also understand that the WWE universe is very hostile when it comes to titles changing hands. When somebody has the title and then somebody else takes it, then they're excited for that next person to win the title, and then right afterwards they immediately last champion back or somebody else to have the champion, which is totally fine. But we have to wait and see what happens with his run to and whether or not they've booked it right, or so far I don't think they haven't done too bad. I think AJ Styles' match with him was pretty good. But I do believe that Cody Rhodes is going to win it, definitely. It'd be interesting to see Logan Paul win it, don't get me wrong, but I don't think he's there in that career yet. At that point in his career yet, to go for that big title. I think it's interesting to keep him in the title chance, but in the title conversation, but I don't think I think he's doing a good job with his US title so far. Next, I'm going to cover the Intercontinental Championship, Sami Zayn versus Chad Gable versus Bronson Reed. Now, this might be interesting, but I think Chad Gable is going to win the Intercontinental Championship at King and Queen of the Ring. The way Chad Gable's story is going right now, I think he's going to upset both Sami Zayn and Bronson Reed, and go on his more I am the best run, basically his heel run right now. And I think it's going to further progress if he wins the Intercontinental Champion, and ultimately the Alpha Academy being split up because the others finally turn sides away from him. I do think there's a possibility that Sami Zayn will win. I don't think Bronson Reed is going to, as much as destructive as he is, but I think Chad Gable's going to win it because his heel run right now has been very, very good. And I'm excited to see what they do with it and where they go from there with it, which is going to be great, I think. I think it's going to be great, honestly, but we'll see where they go. And I'm excited to see where they go with it, honestly. Now, next, The one that's going to be interesting, the Women's World Championship. Becky Lynch is current champion versus Liv Morgan. And honestly, with this one, I could see it going both ways. I could see Becky Lynch taking it. However, I personally would like to see the story progress with Liv's revenge tour and upsetting upsetting Becky Lynch and winning the title at King and Ring. Especially, I think, since she's been back, I think her run and I think her moves, her fighting in the ring has gotten better and has gotten a little smoother, and constantly coming in second place time and time again. I don't think that's gonna I don't think that's gonna keep happening and keep being the story or main thing of her story. I mean, coming in second constantly is just, I don't think it's going to continue that way in Becky Lynch taking her and beating Liv Morgan, because Liv Morgan's got her revenge tour going, where she's trying to take everything that taking everything that Rhea Ripley loves, which is also the Women's World Championship. So I believe she takes it here and goes on a run where that progresses, and maybe even becoming leader of the Judgment Day, which would be interesting, because that's the next thing after that is Dominic Mysterio and the Judgment Day, which would be a really interesting thing to see once Rhea Ripley comes back. So I believe that Liv Morgan is going to take the title. Now, next we have the King of the Ring and Queen of the Ring. So far, the participants are going to be Gunther, and on SmackDown, it's either going to be Randy or Tama Tonga. I think it's going to be Tama Tonga, because the Bloodline has to get this Bloodline 2.0 is what they're calling, or what people are calling it. They have to get something underneath their belt to prove that they're still the Bloodline. Whether Roman Reigns is the leader, whether The Rock's the leader, or whether Solo's taking charge. So getting King of the Ring would be that next step for them to prove that they're still the Bloodline. So, and Tama Tonga is going to be really crazy of a wrestler in the WWE, I think. And so that's where I think that Tama Tonga is going to beat Randy, and then maybe even beat Gunther for King of the Ring. But however, that's going to be an interesting match if it is Gunther versus Tama Tonga, because Gunther is a good wrestler how they have him right now. Still very tough, which I could understand. I could understand where they come from if they have Gunther win King of the Ring. However, taking the title off of him just to give him King of the Ring would be kind of weird, I think. I think they need to take him and focus more on the other titles, like, say, take him for Logan Paul versus Gunther for the US title, or Gunther versus Cody Rhodes for the Undisputed Championship, or Gunther versus Damian Priest for the World Heavyweight Championship. I think that should be where Gunther's focus is more. Because with winning the IC title and having it for 666 days, I feel like King of the Ring is a little bit underneath an accomplishment for that. But I can see where they come from if they were to go that route and have him win King of the Ring, because he is the ring general. But I feel like it would do more purpose for the Bloodline and Tama Tonga to win the King of the Ring. Next is Queen of the Ring match. So far is Lyra Valkyrie versus SmackDown will determine whether it's Belair versus Nia Jax. And obviously Bianca Belair is going to win this match, and then she's going to end up winning Queen of the Ring versus Lyra Valkyrie. I would like to see Lyra Valkyrie win, but we all know here that Bianca Belair is one of the most overpushed. I personally, and this is not hating Bianca Belair in any way, she is the most pushed women's wrestler there is in the WWE. So she's going to win against Nia Jax, because Nia Jax really doesn't get anything important at this point. She's just there to beat the shit out of people and lose. But Belair's going to beat Nia Jax, and then she's going to go on and beat Lyra Valkyrie, which Lyra Valkyrie is still an up-and-coming wrestler off of NXT, I believe. And she has a lot yet to go before she's in the conversation for beating Bianca Belair. Which at this point, Bianca Belair's losses become few and far in between at this point, which I don't personally get at. I think she needs to turn heel and go on a heel run, but she's going to end up winning Queen of the Ring. And it was said that that is possibly the last match on that final card. Which 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 matches overall is all right. I would like to see a little bit, at least one more match in between there, but if it's only 5, it's all right. But that's gonna do it for the King and Queen of the Ring King and Queen of the Ring pay-per-view discussion. Next, I'm gonna go on to the Eastern Conference Finals and the Western Conference Finals in NBA. Eastern Conference Finals have come down to the Boston Celtics versus the Indiana Pacers. Now, as of recording this, Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals happened yesterday. In an overtime win, the Boston Celtics took Game 1, and they will be in Boston Game 2 tomorrow, I believe. I feel like the Celtics are going to have a little bit easier of a run than the Western Conference Finals are going to be when it comes to winning. So I think the Celtics are going to win the Eastern Conference Finals because, yes, the Pacers are good, but they had a tough time with the Knicks as it is. And the Knicks don't have anywhere near as much firepower as the Celtics do right now, especially how they've looked versus the Heat. And obviously the Heat were injured. I'm not making that an excuse for why the Heat were hurt, but at that standpoint, the Celtics were a much better, healthier team than the Heat were. Versus the Cavs, the Celtics were whooping ass left and right. The Cavs didn't have much against the Celtics, so that was understandable. And then now this, I think they have a little bit of easier run than the Timberwolves or the Mavericks do, so I think they're going to win. I think it won't be a sweep, but I think it'll be Game 5 or Game 6 at least. At least bare minimum Game 5. Then when it comes to the Western Conference Finals, I feel like this matchup right here is an automatic Game 7. Automatically. The Timberwolves versus the Mavericks are a hell of a lot more of a sought-after matchup than I think that the Celtics and Pacers are. The Timberwolves and Mavericks are a very more must-see and more focused on conference finals because the Timberwolves and the Mavericks match up so well when it comes to their lineup. I mean, you have Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving versus Anthony Edwards, Jaden McDaniels, and Mike Conley. Mainly Anthony Edwards and Jaden McDaniels versus Luka and Kyrie. Those four matchups already, and those four matching up are already going to be a show. Even Anthony Edwards versus Kyrie Irving alone is going to be a show to watch. And then got Rudy Gobert and Karl Anthony Towns versus. Hold on. Versus Derek Jones Jr. and Daniel Gafford. So it'll be Rudy Gobert and Karl Anthony Towns versus PJ Washington and Daniel Gafford. Now, I think that the Timberwolves are going to win this series, and I believe it's going to go to a Game 7. It's got to. I'd be surprised if one or the other win in Game 5 or Game 6, but I personally would like to see the Minnesota Timberwolves win and go on to the finals, because the Minnesota Timberwolves have been looking like they've been going on a fucking tear. I mean, they looked good once in the first round. Then the second round, they had a very, very tough matchup with the Nuggets, which that that series was very, very well played on both teams. The Nuggets in Game 7 looked to the point where they were going to go on to the Western Conference Finals until Anthony Edwards woke up. The Timberwolves woke up in the second half, and they reduced their 20-point deficit and then took a 10-point lead. I think they said they went on like a 39-5 run, which is fucking insane. And then they ended up keeping that lead through the second half and winning, which was a very good game to watch. That was so exciting to so I feel like the Timberwolves are just very well set up here to win in 7 games. If they do it in less, that'd be awesome, but I don't believe so. I think this is going to be a very, very haymaker after haymaker kind of series, kind of like the Timberwolves had with the Nuggets. And then when it comes to the finals, obviously I believe it's going to be the Celtics versus the Timberwolves, which is going to be a little bit more interesting. Especially when you have, and that matchup's going to be a really, really interesting, I believe, because you got Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown versus Anthony Edwards and Jaden McDaniels. Obviously the Celtics have more of a advantage when it comes to the point guard and shooting guard area. I feel like the Timberwolves have an advantage when it comes to the bigs with Rudy Gobert, Karl Anthony Towns, and Naz Reid, which the Celtics have Kristaps Porzingis, yes, but not. But that's where honestly I think is that it's going to be a back and forth matchup if it does come down to the Celtics versus the Timberwolves, and I would love to see every minute of it. It is going to be a classic. But I hope, and me honestly, and my prediction is that the Minnesota Timberwolves are going to win the finals. They are going to win the championship this year, and because they have a very good team and they are very tough and resilient. They are one of those teams where once they go on a run, they'll put a bag over your head and beat the shit out of you before you even know what's happening. Then the next thing you know, they're up by 10, 15, 20. I mean, it's just, when it puts it into simple terms, that's just what the case is that they've built up so much, is that Anthony Edwards is still young. I mean, he's only 22, and he's already doing so well. I mean, he's already playing out of his mind. He only has that more room and that more age to get experience under his belt and get better. I mean, he can honestly go only improve and get better from here, which is crazy to think that he's so young and he's proving why he was the number one draft pick for a reason when he got drafted. It's crazy. And I can make an argument as well for the Celtics to win, but and especially because eventually the Celtics need to win, or they're having both of those players in Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and Kristaps Porzingis just kind of make it why. You know, eventually if they don't win the championship soon, it just gets to the point where it looks like, why are we constantly at this point? We just need to look at it and try again. But I could be wrong. I could be very wrong. These are just my opinions. But I'm looking forward to the NFL season this year as well. I don't have any early predictions so far, but I think this year is going to be crazy, even when it comes to the Pittsburgh Steelers, because obviously they are my favorite team. I think they're going to be crazy. They obviously have the top 3 toughest. They're in the top 3 for the toughest schedule when it comes to opponent win percentage. But I'll be curious to see when that starts, and I am very anxious to see when that starts. Yeah, I just want to mention that quick. And so that honestly is going to do it for this one, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and turn on the bell notifications. We seriously appreciate it. We are well on our way to our 150 subscriber goal by the end of the year, which we're right now at 80 subscribers as of recording this. I seriously appreciate every one of you. As always, stay classy, don't be trashy, and enjoy the rest of your day. Deuces!